willkommen hier in Berlin in der Villa Borsig zu deinem offiziellen Antrittsbesuch.
On your official visit, first official visit really since you took office. It's a bit grotesque really because we've been meeting so often over the last few weeks and also spoke on the phone very often, and this is meant to be your first visit since taking office, but since you took office we've met so often. We've been very busy indeed, and I think we've been working together very well, and I would like to thank you for that and repeat the promise I made earlier that Germany is willing to make its bit to do its part in order to contribute to ensuring that the foreign and security policy of the European Union moves forward, and that the European Union, which has to stand up to the competition of superpowers between the United States and China and others, can have a voice and speak with a voice that is being heard, is able to shape developments. One of the most important tasks we have to address, and of course we talked about this today, are the developments and the progress in the direction of a political process in Libya, ensuring thus that the weapons fall silent. We've been talking about the important preparations that we carried out at the conference in Berlin, but we're not cherishing any illusions about how difficult the path ahead still is. We both agree that the European Union has to do what it can in order to help when it comes to the implementation of the decisions taken at the Berlin conference, and we will also support the implementation of the arms embargo. We will undoubtedly keep talking about this within the European Union in the weeks to come. Of course, the Security Council of the United Nations also plays a role here. We are engaging with our partners to link or make binding the decisions taken at the Berlin conference by agreeing a resolution of the Security Council. And we will also be talking about how we can contribute to ensuring that the work of Hassan Salami, the Special Representative of the United Nations Secretary General, can be supported. The upcoming meeting of the 5+5 Military Commission in Geneva has also been discussed today. As regards the nuclear agreement with Iran, you, dear Josep, have been challenged right from the first day of your new term. We triggered the dispute resolution mechanism because we realized that Iran was no longer abiding by the restrictions in the agreement. You, as the coordinator of the Joint Commission, now have an important part to play, and you have already charted out the path you intend to pursue. We will be at your side in this endeavor, and I would like to thank you for your very circumspect and very well-balanced approach in this procedure, which you have proven over the last few days. Our attitude, our position continues to be unchanged. We want to engage with all the parties involved in maintaining and preserving the agreement, the JCPOA, because we believe that that is the only and the right way to keep Iran from not acquiring the capability to have a nuclear weapon, and we expect all parties to engage and do their bit.
Dear Minister, lieber Heiko, I am very happy to start my first official visit to Germany in my new role as High Representative, Vice President of the Commission. With the meeting we just had, thank you very much for receiving me in such a beautiful place. I hope next time I will be ready to spend more time here and maybe going to row in the lake you have beside. It's a wonderful residence. Thank you for hosting me in this place to talk about the major crises around the world. We really have where to choose, from Libya, Iran, Iraq, Syria, to the Sahel or Venezuela. We have a lot of challenges to preserve a key multilateral system and agreements. And for me, after the meeting especially, dear Heiko, one thing is clear: we need a more united European Union approach. We need to be more united. We have to share a common understanding of the world in order to develop a stronger common foreign and security policy. That's true that sometimes you have been letting vacuums, and these vacuums has been filled by other countries, like it is the case of Libya. I want to stress the fact that Germany has to play a leading role in assuming a bigger, stronger, and more assertive foreign policy for Europe. Nothing can be done without Germany. And I know very well that my work will be successful only if I count with your support. We have a strong personal friendship, a good personal relationship, which is the basis of our political understanding. And I thank you for the capacity and possibility of working together on all these fields. I want also to congratulate you, dear Heiko, and Germany for the diplomatic success that you achieved a week ago here at Berlin with the Berlin Conference on Libya. It was a very important step forward, and the fact that you were able to gather here all people relevant to solve the crisis was an important success that nobody was able to do before. But now we have to follow the developments on the ground. And some of them are quite worrying because it seems that the ceasefire is not completed. We have to continue working on that, and I hope to be able to attend the meeting, the ministerial meeting on Libya on the 17th of February. I think, no, 17th of February is the date you probably. Exactly. So I will be there on the Munich conference, and I hope that everybody will be attending this meeting. And we'll do our best in order to implement the ceasefire and to support the United Nations armed embargo. I hope also that in the next Foreign Affairs Council, after our talks, we can revive some of the operations that the European Union has been developing in the Mediterranean. On Iran, I think that it's very clear for me, after talking with the German minister, that we share one clear common goal: to preserve the nuclear deal. The launch of the dispute settlement mechanism is not a way of taking it to the Security Council in order to achieve the deal, but by the contrary, to look for a diplomatic field to preserve this deal. And with respect to the Western Balkans, we stand together on our vision on how to deliver the stability and security in this important region of our immediate vicinity. We'll try to do our best in order to facilitate the dialogue between Serbia and Kosovo. I informed the Minister of my plans of visiting both at the end of this week. And I am sure that they will count with the support and cooperation of Germany in order to build this more stronger and united foreign policy for Europe. Thank you, Minister.
Süddeutsche Zeitung, a question to both of you. How disappointed are you that several participants of the Berlin conference go on violating the arms embargo, and in the face of this development, can you still claim that the Berlin conference was a success? How do you intend to ensure that the participants of the conference of Berlin actually adhere to what they promised at the conference? As early as during the Berlin conference, I was quite aware of the fact that we still need to keep working in order to ensure the implementation of what was agreed, that there will be developments that run counter to that desire of ours. The ceasefire was a very fragile one, and thus it will be important now to make sure that the Security Council endorses what we agreed in Berlin by agreeing a resolution. Because those who violate the arms embargo clearly violate the resolution. And in so doing, we want to once again impress upon all those who intend to continue to violate the embargo or have done so, are aware of the fact that this will have consequences for them. Thus, it will be important that the 5+5 military commission is going to meet in the next few days, which brings together the two parties to the conflict at a military level to engage them in negotiations about the conditions for a long-term ceasefire, a genuine ceasefire, worthy of the name that is. And this is why we will continue to work at the various levels to ensure the implementation of what was agreed at Berlin. No one was, thinking that this would be achieved quickly. We are all aware of how difficult that process is, and we are all quite aware of that. But all those who were in Berlin, sitting at the desk at the table with us, agreeing the conclusions, will be held responsible in the Security Council of the United Nations, but also in Libya, the parties to the conflict that, as I said, are going to meet for a military meeting in the coming days.
The same question. Well, we knew
same
that.
answer.
I will try to introduce some nuances. We knew, everybody, that the result of the Berlin conference was not of automatic implementation. Everybody knew that it was an agreement that was going to put into force tomorrow. But it was the first step. This kind of problems cannot be solved overnight, but we need a point to start with. And the Berlin conference was provided this point. Now we have to follow the events closely. The military meeting that the minister made reference will be the second step. And we have to be putting pressure on all parties in order to fulfill the agreements first, and in order to influence the proxies in order for them to also fulfill it. So let's be a little bit patient, active but patient, because it's not going to solve tomorrow. But we are in a much better track than before the Berlin conference.
Minister Maas, Mr. Borrell, a question regarding the spread of the coronavirus in China and also in other parts of the world. A few Western countries have now announced that they want to evacuate their nationals from the region in China. Do you have further information regarding that? And what additional measures might be necessary to avoid a further spread of the virus? In a few minutes from now, the crisis group of the Foreign Office is going to meet with experts, engaging experts from the Robert Koch Institute and other ministries in Germany to discuss the next necessary steps. Everyone, all the citizens, are called upon to follow the travel advice given by the Foreign Office. They are being updated on a daily basis. And those who travel or intend to travel ought to, if possible, not travel to China if not urgently required. Our embassy is in direct contact with German nationals in China. We assume that it is a two-digit number, and we're preparing for all necessary options, including the possible evacuation of all those Germans that want to leave the country. A special consular team of our mission in Beijing will arrive in Wuhan tonight in order to support the Germans on the ground.
Well, now I'm taking off my hat of High Representative. I am putting my hat of Vice Chairman of the Commission and speaking on behalf of the Commission to say that the Commission has been closely monitoring the situation since the first cases in China were reported as soon as last December. And there is a strong coordination with the member states via the European Union early warning and response system. The Commissioner for Health has been keeping in touch with the World Health Organization last week, and it's going to be a health ministers meeting of all EU countries to coordinate and report about the suspected cases. What I can say is that the Commission is closely analyzing the situation and coordinating the answers from the member states.
Herr Maas, eine Frage an Sie.
Minister Maas, a question addressed to you. We're remembering the liberation of the concentration camp of Auschwitz. Jewish life is flourishing again in Germany. Do you believe that Jews in Germany have reason to be concerned and should also think about leaving Germany because of the increase in anti-Semitism? And a question addressed to Mr. Borrell. A Jewish woman to whom we talked said that Germany was the best country in Europe for Jews to live because anti-Semitism was on the rise in the whole of Europe. Is she right? And if so, what can you do against it? Thank you. Of course, I'm pleased when someone says that Germany is the best country in Europe to live in as a Jew. But I'm not cherishing any illusions. On the basis of the events we have had to witness in Germany over the last few weeks and months, especially in Halle, there are fellow citizens who are concerned. And the fact that Jewish life is flourishing at all in Germany, considering our history, is a special gift that has been bestowed upon us, and we have to deal with it and treat it carefully and cautiously. And of course, Jewish citizens are entitled to having the government, society and the state per se in Germany not only witness what is happening by way of rising anti-Semitism, but also acting against it. It's a topic that is on our agenda, right on the top of the federal agenda. It's also on the top of the international agenda. And thus the agenda of international organizations should also contain anti-Semitism. We will be having the presidency of the European Union in the second half of this year and the chair of the Council of Europe. And in a few weeks from now, we'll be heading the International Alliance for the Remembrance of the Holocaust. And we will use all those mandates in order to stand up to anti-Semitism in Germany, but also on the international scene, in the whole of Europe, making that an important part of our political agenda in Germany and beyond.
Thank you for your answer, Minister. You know, the so-called Jewish question is something very important for me. I'm very sensitive to this issue. I started my adult life working in a kibbutz in Israel, and since then I've been following very closely this thing. And I would like to be in a situation where this kind of classification, this kind of ranking, the best country, the worst country, would not be possible to do, would not be relevant. It should not be the best country in Europe for the Jews or the worst country for Europe and the Jews. The Jews should be able to live in all European countries without any kind of difference among them, because it should not be an issue to be or not to be a Jew. This is the important thing. No? The important thing is not to be the best or the worst, because it doesn't make any kind of difference. The other day I was in New York talking with the American Jewish community representative, and I was explaining them how in Europe and many countries, especially in my country, Spain, we honor the Jewish heritage. The cities that the Jews built, the quarters in the Spanish cities which has been rebuilt and it is even the road of the Jewish city in Spain. And he told me to honor the dead Jews is good, but it would be much better to safeguard the Jews which are alive today. And that way should be all of us engaged, and to fight any kind of attitude against a human being just because it belongs to a kind of ethnic classification. This is what the heritage of the very, very dramatic history of Europe requires from us. And one of the things I will do today is to pay a visit and walk through the Holocaust Memorial, because I am not going to be able to go to Auschwitz. I was there 15 years ago for the 60th anniversary of the liberation of the camp, when I was President of the European Parliament. And I think that all Europeans have to be engaged on the fight against any kind of discrimination against any human being because he belongs to a kind of an ethnic group.
Yeah, my question goes to Mr. Borrell.
Meine Frage geht an Herrn Borrell. Ich habe genau genommen zwei Fragen. Sie haben davon gesprochen, wie wichtig es ist, dass die EU eine geschlossene...
I am listening in German. Can you speak English?
Yes, can you switch?
You are speaking English?
Yes.
Okay. That's why he was having a
No,
German translation.
I will address the questions in English, but
Okay. No,
if
I
one
thought
way or another you can give me an answer in Spanish for the sounds, it would be perfect. So the first question, you have been mentioned how important it is with the European Union to keep united, strong together. But one of its members just violated the sanctions imposed by the European Union on Venezuela. And I'm referring the Minister Avalos, your former colleagues, by meeting the Vice President of Venezuela in Madrid. And you know that the name of this lady, it is in the list of the sanctions imposed by the European Union. So I wonder, I would like to know whether if you recall the Spain, whether you're planning to do, whether there's an investigation on the way, or you will leave Spain to be the judge of itself. The second question is related to Morocco. You know that they have announced that they are planning to extend their waters beyond the Canary Islands. So we're talking about the Spanish water, but we're talking about the community water. So I would like to know whether the Commission will take part in this issue if Morocco decides to go ahead and extend unilaterally the water that they are the community water. Thank you. I hope that you haven't already guessed my questions and you get a written answer.
Look, first you want to answer?
No comments.
No comments. When I was Minister of Foreign Affairs in Spain and I was receiving other ministers and we were having a joint press conference, I was always complaining that the questions were related to the domestic internal policy of Spain. And now that I am visiting my friends in Germany, they are still putting me questions about the internal policy of Spain. Now look, I am no longer the Foreign Affairs Minister of Spain. Let's put things clear. I am no longer the Foreign Affairs Minister of Spain. I am not here in this capacity. We have been talking about the problems of the European Union on a German perspective. I can assure you that the problem of the waters between Spain and Morocco has not been in our agenda. So I cannot say anything that we have security because we have been talking about it. And I am fully confident that Spain and Morocco will be able to solve this difference by bilateral talks among them. If this is not the case, we'll see what's happening. But I know very well the Foreign Affairs Minister of Morocco, the Foreign Affairs Minister of Spain. I am fully confident that this problem will be solved on a bilateral approach. And about, you said there has been a violation. Well, you said there has been a violation. No? You are not in charge of determining if has been a violation or not. I don't know if it has been a violation or not because I don't have the details. But according with our rules, it's the national authorities of each country who are in charge of implementing the sanctions and taking care that the sanctions are rightly implemented. So it's up to the national authorities of Spain, in this case the Foreign Affairs Minister of Spain, to deal with what has happening. I don't have any specific information, and it's to repeat, it's to the national authorities to fulfill and to safeguard the implementation of the sanctions.